For the past several weeks, myself and many other people have been making videos and having discussions about Disney. Disney being in a free fall of failure, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen Disney be in. I think the worst Disney has done is prior to the 80s, the early 80s, the late 70s. They were in an economic free fall. And then Eisner came in and a couple of other people, and they rejuvenated the company to a degree. There was still trouble, but they made decisions that brought the company back to the forefront. But today, Disney's economic failures are not a result of a lack of content per se. That's one aspect to it. They're not the same conditions that created the initial failure of Disney. No, the circumstances are based on the broader problems within the entertainment industry, which is DEI/wokeness, a lack of creativity, a lack of understanding of the content that came before that was successful, trying to replicate it in a more, quote, modern sense, and a lack of willingness to listen to the audience when they say, we don't want this, here's what we do want. And it's not just Disney. They're the symptom of an industry that believes all of those things I just mentioned. And they're the most feverish about it. They're the most gung-ho about DEI/wokeness, DEI being diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a buzz term that basically means we are going to elevate the groups of people, the ideas, and the identities that we think are the most important, and we're going to lower the others because we think the others have had too much time in the spotlight, i.e. white people. That's basically what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. It's not any of those things it's listed as, and it's never executed in a way that's good and fair. Because these things, diversity, equity, inclusion, they occur naturally, and they have over the years throughout entertainment and throughout society. But Disney has bought into the propaganda that there is a crisis of diversity, equity, and inclusion and a lack of it. And so they need to elevate it in all of their storytelling and every aspect of their business. The problem is that business doesn't discriminate. Business takes money. Whoever is willing to give them money for whatever reason. So they've bought into a lie. And subsequently, their policies, their storytelling, their very core is built around these things. And so is the same with Paramount, so is the same with Warner Brothers, so is the same with NBC Universal, so is the same with Sony. So is the same with Fox. Well, I don't know about Fox, to be honest with you, the elements of Fox that Disney doesn't own. But that's besides the point. Pretty much all of Hollywood has said something to the degree to where they agree with this push for DEI. And they are building their universes, their stories, their ideas around it. And it has failed again and again and again. It's lost millions of dollars, and it continuously fails. And the audience continuously says, enough of this. Even the people who agree with this ideology say, no, don't do that here. That's a discussion to be had in another place at another time. Here is for entertainment. But what they're trying to say is, no. We can preach and entertain. We can intertwine the two. The two can be married. They can't. They absolutely can't. They never can be. So day after day, when you hear news about Disney, when you hear about how much money they're losing, you hear that Bob Iger is stuck between a rock and a hard place and may have to sell entire aspects of the company, then it all makes sense, because Disney isn't being run like a business. When he comes out and admits things that people have been saying for years, which are the theme parks need to lower their prices, which, again, way before Disney even went woke, people were saying that, because it was just getting so absurdly expensive. I went to the parks twice. I went in 2005 and again in, I believe, either 2010 or 11. I'm still not entirely sure. In that period of time between those two trips, the second trip was objectively worse. The first trip was awesome. The parks looked good. There was stuff to do. It was fun. The second trip, they had removed several attractions, And they hadn't even bothered to fill the gaps where those attractions were. So there were a lot of holes everywhere, quite literally. It was dirtier. It was smellier. It wasn't fun. And after that trip, I think my family universally agreed we're never going back there again. Least of which because it's not affordable. But Disney doesn't do anything to fix its parks. They tear out old attractions and they put in new ones based on what they think people want. Eisner was a better parks guy than Iger. I genuinely believe he was. Iger was not a theme park guy. He was a television guy. He ran ABC for at least a year before becoming president of Disney and then eventually CEO. But he's not a parks guy. Eisner is a parks guy. And so because of that, in the past several years, the theme parks, at least Disney World and Disneyland, have both suffered. And they've been constantly restructuring as Disney has acquired more properties. And they say, okay, we acquire more properties, and if people love these movies, we're going to put these properties in the theme parks, which is dumb. You've got established characters and properties that you've already built attractions on, and you're going to tear those down because we need ones that are more relevant. Well, you're always going to have more relevant movies, so you're going to be constantly tearing down and rebuilding these attractions based on whatever's popular. That's not a sustainable business model by any stretch of the imagination. I love Disney's original Hollywood Studios, which was called MGM Studios, was based around building a prototypical and actually functional studio. Movie studio, television studio, complete with a backlot and a backlot tour. That was an awesome thing. Now, there were some complications with that, but they made it work, and people fondly remember attractions like Lights, Cameras, Motors, the car stunt show, the backlot tour. Those are both gone. I could have went on both of those, and I didn't. I don't know. I don't remember why I didn't. I was very sheepish about rides and attractions at the time. I was at Disney less so for the rides, more so for the interactive attractions, which was a mistake on my part. I really wish I'd gone on the backlot tour. I really wish I'd seen the stunt show. Or no, I did see the stunt show, I think. I don't remember. But either way, all of that is gone now. And what's replaced it is Toy Story Land, which from what I understand is, one roller coaster and a couple of interactive things. It's not a bad concept, but what they lost to gain that, to me, is significant. And that was under Iger. It might not have been directly his decision, but he greenlit it. That's dumb. They had sound stages where they were producing stuff. Early in the 90s, they produced Mickey Mouse Club there. I don't know what else they ended up producing. I think they ended up running into noise issues. And my suggestion has always been, why not build a backlot and sound stages further away from the actual themed attractions, but still on the property, still close enough to where people can access it? Because then you have that sort of behind-the-scenes experience that people like to go to Hollywood for. And you can have active productions in somewhere other than Hollywood. But Disney won't do that. How many of you think it would be cool if Disney had stuck with that idea and then refined it to where they fixed the issues where it wasn't working? Because apparently they had noise issues with all the guests in the theme parks and all the attractions and all of that. Why not move it further back? Why not keep a backlot tour? Why not have a functioning... From what I understand, the backlot was a functioning backlot that they could have used for movies. They didn't use it for a lot of films, but they used it for a couple. Why not keep that? I guess in the early 2000s, early to mid-2000s, the momentum of it just kind of shifted. But either way, that's a cool thing. Not a lot of theme parks have that, and that was a cool concept. But they completely tore it down, and then they just made another themed land, 2 more themed lands, Star Wars, which isn't even good Star Wars, and then Toy Story, which I love Toy Story, but meh. It just doesn't make sense. Why are you even calling it Hollywood Studios? What does it have to do? Oh, because it's got lands themed on movies? No, the original idea was that it was a functioning movie studio with some themed attractions from different movies. That was a much better idea than what they're doing now. You look at the original map of MGM Studios versus what it is now, it looks way better. In fact, I might even put them up on screen. It looks way better. But no. And that's the type of decision making that's harming Disney. Not just the woke stuff, but those types of decisions. They lost their whole Reedy Creek deal, which is doing a whole lot of damage to them. And to their expansion and development. The theme parks themselves are falling apart. People who are talking about going to the theme parks, they're falling apart. Their cruise ship experiences, for the most part, people have said are pretty underwhelming, especially compared to other cruise lines. And they've got multiple ships now, so the prices have only gone up. But going back to their movies and television, their television is a barren wasteland. They're relying on pretty much just Star Wars at this point. What else do they have? They have Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, but they don't promote it. They don't do anything with it. It's a great show. It's a continuation of those shorts from Disney, but they don't do anything with it. Nothing. They don't do a single thing with it. It is a great cartoon. I've talked about it on Toonie Talk. I've said I think it's one of Disney's best modern things that they have, but they do nothing with it. Absolutely nothing with it other than whenever they do Mickey and Minnie themed stuff, they use that design as opposed to some of the more legacy designs. It's embarrassing. But again, all of what Disney is doing in the ideological department is a symptom of a sicker Hollywood. I just went on to Bounding into Comics today and I saw this, which confirmed a lot of mine and I think other people's fears. Listen to this headline. The Super Mario Bros. Movie directors tease girl boss personality for Princess Peach. Quote, "We were thinking how strong that person would need to be to protect her people." That is the wrong mentality when it comes to Princess Peach as she's been traditionally portrayed. They're trying to take a portrayal based on their own ideology versus how the games actually are, which is what they should be sticking closer to. If you've seen the trailers, they've got all the fan service to the games. Everything looks like it should. But Princess Peach herself is way stronger than she has any reason to be. Unrealistically so. The whole point of the games is she's not strong enough to save her people. She needs Mario. Mario is the hero of that kingdom. In this movie, they're going to make him a hero almost accidentally, it seems. Or they're going to say, oh no, it's a team effort. It's not really a team effort. It's literally Mario and Luigi. But in this, instead of Peach getting kidnapped, they substitute it for Luigi, which is horribly offensive. They act like Peach has never been the hero before. Does anybody remember Super Princess Peach? Anybody? It didn't do well. Although I think some people liked it. I think it still gets Let's Played. But the point is that they've tried that before and it didn't work. And now they're trying it again, it seems. People are frustrated by that because I'm sure they're going to try to make Mario the hero. It's still his movie, but all of these protagonists that are being adapted to the big screen are taking a back seat in their own story to the strong, independent woman. This fantasy that they insist upon, they're taking a back seat to. And it's frustrating because people who play the games know better. They're insulting your intelligence. They're saying, oh, no. Yeah, we're just trying to do something different, something that we think audiences will like more. Audiences have told you they've had enough of this, and yet you're still doing it. And this isn't even Disney. This is Illumination. So it's not just Disney. Disney is just a symptom of a Hollywood that is thoroughly steeped in this nonsense. And they're finding more and more ways to try to squeeze this stuff into the entertainment. The Mario movie's going to do gangbusters. Doesn't matter if you go to see it or not at this point. You cannot see it at a protest. It won't make that much of a difference. Because it's Mario. And they're relying on people knowing that it's Mario to get butts in the seats. So if it's successful, they won't learn anything. And if Peach is well received, she'll be the protagonist of the next movie. If she's not the protagonist of this one, for all we know. Even the trailers depicted her showing Mario how to do things that he already knew how to do before he saved her. It's offensive to me because it tells me, you're basically telling me I'm wrong for accepting reality. And you're right for creating a new reality or a new story that flips the old one on its head. There was nothing wrong with the concept of Mario saving Peach. She always appreciated it. She always loved it. She always expected it. Each subsequent story that Nintendo did for the Mario games, they came up with more creative ways for her to get kidnapped and Mario to save her. The way they handled it in Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is my least favorite 3D Mario, but one thing I do like is They show how Peach deals with the fact that she gets kidnapped all the time. Once the game is over, you can go back and revisit worlds, and she can revisit the worlds and have sort of a vacation, and she comments on them. And eventually she gets to Bowser's castle, and she has some really heartfelt dialogue about it. And what it means getting kidnapped all the time, and Mario saving her. This movie isn't going to do anything like that. She probably won't even get kidnapped. Maybe briefly, but she'll probably get herself out. So it's not just Disney, guys. And people who keep saying, "Oh, this is going to be the Disney killer." It's going to be successful, but it's going to tell Disney we just have to try harder, and we're still going to be woke. We're still going to be ideological. Disney at this point is a dead company. They're insisting upon their own death. They're insisting upon it. And these other companies are too. Because even though this is going to be a success with name recognition, that only lasts for so long. It only lasted so long for Marvel. I'm by and large done with Hollywood. I don't know if I'm going to go see the Mario movie. Because I don't know if I want to give money to this. I don't want to reward these mentalities. But plenty of other people will, so it won't matter. It's just an issue of, it's not an issue of I'm going to have an effective protest. It's an issue of what are my principles here? Do I agree with this stuff to the point where I'm willing to give it money? Am I willing to ignore it and still reward it? No, I don't think I am. I think I need to stay consistent with my principles lest I be a hypocrite in that sense. So I don't think I will go to see this. But this notion that Disney is the end-all, say-all, be-all of DEI, and if Disney fails, the others will rise. No, they won't. This is a collective ideology, in a collective industry, in a bubble of a geographic location of Hollywood, California. It is in an insular bubble. It's like it's in a dome, and everybody in that dome thinks largely the same way. There are a couple of outliers, people who recognize what's going on and are trying to break through, but they're not the big players. They don't have a lot of power. The advantage that those independent guys have is that they do have the backing of some companies. I've heard rumors that what's going on with Skydance is pretty good, with John Lasseter, who had been let go from Disney. But who knows? Who honestly knows? If he's saying we need to entertain and not be woke, then that's a start. But most films do. And aside from the wokeness, aside from the ideology, they're creatively bankrupt. Every horror movie looks the same. Almost every one. They have the same types of trailers. They have the same, roughly, stories for most of them. And most of them are panned. People go, oh, this looks interesting. And then they go see it and they're like, yeah, this sucked. So the industry is not healthy. It's a dying industry. I've said this before. Hollywood and the entertainment industry at its highest level is dying due to independent creation. Independent creation is now more readily available than ever before, and it is killing the mainstream. Disney is not the end-all, say-all, be-all of this ideology. And if Disney falls, the others won't fall suit, at least not immediately. This thing will be propped up indefinitely for the future. So don't be surprised when you continue to see headlines of this new thing is coming out and that new thing is coming out, and they all end up being super ideological. They're going to keep doing this over and over and over because nobody has the spine to tell these people no. Because the backlash is too scary to them. Even if people believe it, they either don't have the power to tell them no, the influence to tell them no, or the spine to tell them no. They just won't do it. So, at the end of the day, Disney's a failure. They're continuing to fail. I'll talk about their failure every now and again. If they actually do end up selling off some of their divisions, I'll probably talk about that. But I think I'm done. I think I'm done talking about them for a little while because, first of all, you've got multiple channels who are already talking about their failure. All right, you've got multiple channels who are already covering their failure way better than I do. WDW Pro, Clownfish TV, Valiant Renegade, Geeks and Gamers, RK Outpost, Yellow Flash, I mean, all sorts of just independent content creators are talking about Disney's failure. I don't need to keep throwing my hat in that ring. I will talk about, however, because it does fascinate me, if they sell off ABC, if they sell off ESPN, if they sell off Hulu, if they sell off any of their divisions, I'll talk about that. And I'll talk about the potential futures for those assets that they've sold off. But for now, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I've rambled on for long enough. This has been Super Koopa with another Koopa Talks. I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching and enjoying the video. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.